All right, well, shalom, shalom, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Torah Study. Hope everyone's excited to be here. I certainly am. I look forward to tonight's study with everyone. All right, so we're going to begin, as we always do, with taking our praise reports and prayer needs within the congregation here. So if you've got a praise or a prayer, you go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll take care of those. Or you can go ahead and type it in. Praise and prayer. You could raise your hand or you can type it in. Richard, we see you have your hand up. Is that because you have it up by accident or because you want the mic? Okay, I don't know what that is with Richard. Okay, so Steve Waffle, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Let's see. All right. I praise and prayer together. And praise Father that nobody was seriously hurt when a young lady decided to turn left in front of my work truck today. So she was pregnant. So we had to sit there and wait for them to make sure the baby was okay before we could even go further. So we sat there for a little bit. I have a sore hand and stuff like that. So I asked prayer for her and her child. Unborn child, and then I give Abba praise because I had a huge setback financially because the work I had was given by this company had canceled, and it was cancellation until April. So I just got started back, and now the vehicle's in such disrepair that it's not drivable. We have insurances and all. I'll be able to get there and get that on, so I just want to praise Abba for the challenge he's put before us and thank him for that nobody was seriously hurt. And like I said, once again, if you guys could keep that young lady in prayer and the baby too. Thank you very much.
Amen. 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 Okay, thank you, Steve. All right. Richard Yetter, the second one that's in there, for some reason your hand is still up. I don't know if that's something from before or you're signed in more than once. It looks like you're signed in more than once. So we'll just ignore that one for now. Okay. Let's see. And again, if I'm slow grabbing the mic at times, it may be because my mouse seems to be having a problem. And it's a rechargeable mouse, so I can't just put a battery in it. All right, let's see what we have that I missed that people were typing in. Let's see. Okay, Lorraine Hasbrook has an unspoken. April has an unspoken. Rabbi Tom said Joanne had a bit extra on surgery, but came through quite well. Reverend Joanne. So we owe Yahweh all the praise. She's doing well tonight. Awesome. I had heard good things from the surgery. Linda Ansaldo, prayer for depression. Janice prays for steady employment. It's a huge learning opportunity. Earl, prayer from more new customers, and praise Abba for his many blessings in his life. Okay. Selena, our house here will be on the market next week. Have an offer on a house in Cleveland we are working on. Need prayers for energy. We look forward to having you guys here in Cleveland. David and Amy, praise Yah for MTOI and his Torah study. Praying for all those with severe cold and protection from power outages. Richard Yetter, I can't drop my hand. Don't worry about it. Now that I know what it's all about, you're okay. I'm not going to worry about that that hand up. That's no big deal. Okay. Let's see. Tom and Carmen, shalom from unusually frosty Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My son gave me what he called a Jewish quarter. It turned out to be a Israeli half-shekel coin. My wife, Carmen, needs work-related prayers. Okay. Again, my mouse is turning off. This is going to be tough. This is going to be tough for me tonight. I do not know why it keeps doing that. I don't know where we're up to. I just lost my place. Let's see. I see where. Okay, great. Claudia, please pray for my father's skin condition as it's not improving. and unspoken about my workplace encouragement, thanks. Workplace and encouragement, thanks. Unspoken for Alana, Alicia, and Matthew, unspoken. Crystal, praise and prayer together that my eyes and heart will stay in the right place. Nolan Bibb, unspoken. Fred, pray for my marriage that I can get the money for Passover. Okay. David and Alice, praise Alice's shoulder surgery went well with no complications. Praise Yah. Prayers needed for a quick recovery. Greg and Mary, prayer. Mary has shingles, dealing with nerve and breakout rash. Rick Berry, several unspokens. Dave and Lori, in Ontario. Rabbi Steve, still waiting for your call. Left message with Robert. Yeah, I'm really sorry that I haven't been able to get to you. Dave, you had wanted to call after 5 o'clock, right? And sometimes I get rack stacked and packed after 5 o'clock, if that was the case. Can I talk to you tonight after the study? If that would work. That would be fine with me. Okay. Maybe your mouse needs a battery. Jackson's, I'm sorry, I explained that already. This is a rechargeable that plugs into a Mac. You can't just put a battery in it. Okay? There's no battery to put in it. I've got to just plug it in overnight. Okay, from Eileen and the Reds. Praise that we were able to go to services this past week. Looking forward to this Shabbat. Praise Abba for our Torah family unspoken prayer request. Okay, Carrie Gephardt, unspoken prayers. Raymond, you didn't miss very much as I was late as well, starting the study, so it's only been going on for about 7 or 8 minutes. That's why we're still doing prayer time. We just got started. Freddie Gonzalez, prayers for my son who has a fever. I like this one. Tom and Maria, just excited to be here. Awesome. Let's see. Dave and Lori said sure. Okay, so I'll have to figure out how to work it out. Dave and Lori, do you have my cell phone to call? We'll have to figure that out. No. Okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to send you a private message with my cell phone at some point during the study, and then just reply back and let me know you got it, okay? All right. Let's see. Cheryl, praise that my daughter has been watching the CC 101 teachings and is learning so much from Rabbi. And unspoken prayer request, thank you. My mouse is going to drive me dizzy. It keeps popping on and off and on and off. I wonder if I can connect my other mouse to this computer somehow. Okay. Give me 1 second to go ahead and put this chat in for. Okay, there we go. Okay, I sent you the message. Hopefully you got that. And you can call me after the study. Just make sure that we've actually closed the study before you call. Okay, anybody else? Greg will hum the Jeopardy tune. Okay. No problem. All right, so let's go ahead and get one of the men to come up and pray for the prayer request as well as open the study in prayer. Okay. Mr. Steve Waffle, why don't
All righty. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening bringing all of our petitions and prayers and requests. You know the needs, Father, spoken and unspoken. Excuse me. We ask you to just show each one of us how you would handle it and your blessings, even though sometimes we can't see them. We also ask you to as we open up your word, you open up our hearts and minds and allow us to see that which would want each of us to see tonight. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. All right. Amen. Cool. Very good. All right. So, a couple of more things got posted real quickly before we get started. We had prayers for the Doyle family. Head of household Thomas Doyle passed away Sunday, so we could pray for them. Sarah Beth said, prayer that I learned a lesson this time. Okay, whatever that means. Randy Baker, thank you for your teaching and everything. Give thanks and your list of people, because I had to remember the list today when dealing with folks at work that are on the list. Okay. All right, so I think that covers it for that. All right, let's do a quick, see if I can put the video on here for a second. All right, what color shirt today? I see somebody already put in the right color. We have a winner. And the winner is Mr. Steve Waffle with, what did he say first? I thought I saw a green. Yep. Gwen said purple. Steve, green it is. And a good old coin scratch for everyone. Blessings. Hello. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Excited about tonight's study. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to turn this off. All right. Okay, so for those of you that are new or not new, the way this works is we're going to go ahead and read this week's Torah portion. And give me 1 second. Hold on. I had brought the Torah portion with me to work, so I have to get it out of my book here. Here it is. Okay, so this week's Torah portion brought to you by, no, it sounds like a movie, do like a commercial, right? Mishpatim. What does Mishpatim mean? Right rulings, judgments, ordinances. Of course, my mouse would go ahead and die right now when I wanted to type in. And this is going to take us from Exodus 21:1 through 24:18. Okay? Okay, there we go. Excellent. Now, so the way this is going to work is I'm going to need 7 readers. You can raise your hands. We'll get your readers listed up there. 7 readings, and I'll tell you what verses to read from and to, and then we'll go ahead and have a little blessing over each person as they come up to read. Okay? Just remember when you're done to go ahead and mute your mic and put down your hand. Okay, and also some of you, we may get an echo loop. Don't turn on your mic until I've turned off mine. That'll make it a little bit easier. Okay, here we go. First up, we're going to have Earl. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Earl, who's come up down to Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family, and send blessing and prosperity on all the works of his hands. Amen. This is going to be so hard today because my mouse is just not going to want to work. Okay, I just got it. Here we go. Earl, you're going to take us from chapter 21, verse 1 through 17.
These are the right rulings which you are to set before them. When you buy a Hebrew servant, he serves 6 years, and in the 7th year he goes out free for naught. If he comes in by himself, he goes out by himself. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master has given him a wife, and she has borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children are her master's, and he goes out by himself. And if the servant truly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, let me not go out free. Then his master shall bring him before Elohim, and shall bring him to the door or to the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. And when a man sells his daughter to be a female servant, she does not go out as the male servants do. If she is displeasing in the eyes of her master, who has engaged her to himself, then he shall let her be ransomed. He shall have no authority to sell her to a foreign people because of him deceiving her. And if he has engaged her to his son, he is to do to her as is the right of daughters. If he takes another wife, her food, her covering, and her marriage rights are not to be diminished. And if he does not do these three for her, then she shall go out for naught, without silver. He who strikes a man so that he dies shall certainly be put to death. But if he did not lie in wait, but Elohim delivered him into his hand, then I shall appoint for you a place where he is to flee. But when a man acts presumptuously against his neighbor to kill him by treachery, you are to take him even from my slaughter place to die. And he who strikes his father or his mother shall certainly be put to death. And he who kidnaps a man and sells him, or if he is found in his hand, shall certainly be put to death. And he who curses his father or his mother shall certainly be put to death.
Amen. Amen. Okay. Thank you, Earl, for starting us off. Next up, we have Tom. Excuse me. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Tom, who's come up to Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family, and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, take us from chapter 21, verse 18 to the end of the chapter.
Mike text. Okay. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he pays according to the bride price of her maidens. Do not allow a practicer of witchcraft to live. Anyone lying with a beast shall certainly be put to death. He who slaughters to a mighty one, except to Yahweh only, is put under the ban. Do not tread down a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Mizraim. Do not afflict any widow or fatherless child. You do afflict them at all. If they cry out to me at all, I shall certainly hear their cry. Oops. Yeah. I was on the wrong verse. Let me try again. It should be 21:17.
Okay, you are to be in chapter 21, 18 to 36.
And when men strive together, and one smites the other with a stone or with his fist, and he does not die, but is confined to his bed, if he rises again and walks about outside with his staff, then he who smote him shall be innocent. He only pays for lost time and sees to it that he is completely healed. And when a man smiles his male or female servant with a rod, smites, so that he dies under his hand, shall certainly be avenged. But if he remains alive a day or two, he is not avenged, for he is his property. And when men strive, and they shall smite a pregnant woman, and her children come out, yet there is no injury, he shall certainly be punished accordingly as the woman's husband lays upon him, and he shall pay by the judges. But if there is injury, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, lash for lash. And when a man smites the eye of his male or female servant, and destroys it, he is to let him go free for the sake of his eye. And if he knocks out the tooth of his male or female servant, he is to let him go free for the sake of his tooth. And when an ox gores a man or a woman to death, then the ox shall certainly be stoned, and its flesh is not eaten, and the owner of the ox is innocent. However, if the ox was previously in the habit of goring, and its owner has been warned, and he has not kept it confined, so that it has killed a man or a woman, the ox is stoned, and its owner is put to death. If a sin covering is laid upon him, then he shall give the ransom of his life, whatever is laid on him, whether it has gored a son or gored a daughter. According to this right ruling, it is done to him. If the ox gores a male or female servant, he is to give their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox is stoned. And when a man opens a pit, or if a man digs a pit, and does not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls in it, the owner of the pit is to repay. He is to give silver to their owner, and the dead is his. And when the ox man smites the ox of his neighbor, and it dies, then they shall sell the live ox, and divide the silver from it, and also divide the dead ox. Or if it was known that the ox was previously in the habit of goring, and its owner has not kept it confined, he shall certainly repay ox for ox, while the dead is his.
Amen. Amen. Okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, next up we have Nolan. He who blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Nolan, who's called out of Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family, and send blessing and prosperity on all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, having more challenges here with this mouse. It keeps wanting to cut out just when I want to type things. Okay, we're going to go now to Exodus chapter 22, and you're going to read verses 1 through 15.
When a man steals an ox or a sheep and shall slaughter it or sell it, he repays 5 cattle for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If the thief is found breaking in and he is struck so that he dies, there is no guilt for his blood. If the sun has risen on him, there is guilt for his blood. He shall certainly repay. If he has not the means, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the thief is indeed found alive in his hand, if the theft is indeed found alive in his hand, whether it is an ox or a donkey or a sheep, he repays double. When a man lets a field or a vineyard be grazed bare, and lets loose his livestock, and it feeds in another man's field, he repays from the best of his own field, and the best of his own vineyard. When a fire breaks out and spreads to thorn bushes, so that stacked grain or standing grain or the field is consumed, he who kindled the fire shall certainly repay. When a man gives silver or goods to his neighbor to guard, and it is stolen out of the man's house, if the thief is found, he repays double. If the thief is not found, then the master of the house shall certainly be brought before Elohim to see whether he has put his hand into his neighbor's goods. For every matter of transgression, for ox, for donkey, for sheep, for garment, or for whatever is lost, which another claims to be his, let the matter of them both come before Elohim, and whomever Elohim declares wrong repays double to his neighbor. When a man gives to his neighbor a donkey or an ox or a sheep or any beast to watch over, and it dies, or is injured, or is driven away while no one is looking, let an oath of Yahweh be between them both, and he who has not put his hand into his neighbor's goods, that he has not put his hand into his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept that, and he does not repay him. But if it is indeed stolen from him, he repays to its owner. If it is torn to pieces, then let him bring it for evidence. He does not repay what is torn. And when a man borrows from his neighbor, and it is injured or dies, while the owner of it is not present, he shall certainly repay. But if its owner was with it, he does not repay. If it was hired, he is entitled to the hire.
Amen. Amen. Okay, thank you, Nolan. Okay, next up we have Bob. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Bob, who quotes on to Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of his hands. Amen. Amen. Okay, Bob, you're now going to take us, let's see, from verse 16 to the end of chapter 22.
Test. When a man entices a maiden who is not engaged and lies with her, he certainly pays the bride price for her to be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he pays according to the bride price of maidens. Do not allow a practitioner of witchcraft to live. Anyone lying with a beast shall be certainly put to death. He who slaughters to an Elohim except to Yahweh only, is put under the ban. Do not tread down a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Israel. Do not affect any widow or fatherless child. If you do afflict them at all, if they cry out to me at all, I shall certainly hear their cry. And my wrath shall burn, and I shall kill you with the sword. Your wife shall be widows, and your children fatherless. If you do lend silver to any of my people, the poor among you, you are not to be like one that lends on interest to him. Do not lay interest on him. If you take your neighbor's garment as a pledge at all, you are to return it to him before the sun goes down. For that is his only covering, is his garment or his skin. What does he sleep in? And it shall be that when he cries to me, I shall hear, for I so show favor. Do not revile an Elohim, nor curse a ruler of your people. Do not delay your giving your harvest and your vintage. Give me the firstborn of your sons. Likewise you are to do with your oxen, with your sheep, is to be within its mother 7 days, and on the 8th day you give it to me. And you are a set apart man to me, and you do not eat any meat which is torn to pieces in the field, sow it to the dogs.
Amen. Amen. Sorry for the delay. I'm having mouse problems here. Okay. So, next up. Thank you, Bob. Next up we have Olivier. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. May he bless Olivier, who's come up down to Yahweh and the Torah. Excuse me. May the set apart one bless him and his family, and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of your hands. Amen. Okay, take us now into chapter 23, and we're going to go verses 1 through 17.
Mic check. Okay. Do not bring a false report. Do not put your hand with the wrong to be a malicious witness. Do not follow a crowd to do evil, nor bear witness in a strife, so as to turn aside what is right. And do not favor a poor man in his strife. When you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall certainly return it to him. When you see the donkey of him who hates you lying under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving it to him. You shall certainly help him. Do not turn aside the right ruling of your poor in his strife. Keep yourself far from a false matter, or do not kill the innocent and the righteous, for I do not declare the wrong right. And do not take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the seeing one and twists the words of the righteous. And do not oppress a sojourner, as you yourselves know the heart of a sojourner, because you are sojourners in the land of Mizraim. And for 6 years you are to sow your land, and shall gather its increase. The 7th year you are to let it rest, and shall leave it, and the poor or your people shall eat. And what they leave, the beasts of the field eat. Do the same with your vineyard and your olive yard. 6 days you are to do your work, and on the 7th day you rest, in order that your ox and your donkey might rest, and the son of your female servant and the sojourner be refreshed. And in all that I have said to you, take heed, and make no mention of the name of your other mighty ones, let it not be heard from your mouth. 3 times in a year you are to celebrate a festival to me. Guard the festival of Batzot. 7 days you eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the time appointed in the new moon of Abib. For in it you came out of Mizraim, and do not appear before me empty-handed. The festival of the harvest, the first fruits of your labors which you have sown in the field, and the festival of the ingathering at the outgoing of the year, when you have gathered in the fruit of your labors from the field. 3 times in the year all your males are to appear before the Master Yahweh.
Amen. Amen. Okay, thank you, Olivier. Okay, next up we have Kendall. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may bless Kendall, who is called Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family, and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of his hands. Amen. All right, Kendall, take us now from verse 18 to verse 33, which is the end of chapter 23.
Mic check. Do not slaughter the blood of my slaughtering with leavened bread, and the fat of my festival shall not remain until morning. Bring the first of the first fruits of your land into the house of Yahweh your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. See, I am sending a messenger before you to guard you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Be on guard before him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he is not going to pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. But if you diligently obey his voice and shall do all that I speak, then I shall be an enemy to your enemies and a distresser to those who distress you. For my messenger shall go before you and shall bring you into the Amorites and to the Hittites and to the Perizzites and to the Canaanites and to the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I shall cut them off. Do not bow down to their mighty ones, nor serve them, nor do according to their works. But without fail overthrow them, and without fail break down their pillars. And you shall serve Yahweh your Elohim, and he shall bless your bread and your water, and I shall remove sickness from your midst. None shall miscarry or be barren in your land. I shall fill the number of your days. I shall send my fear before you, and cause confusion among all the people to whom you come. and make all your enemies turn their backs to you. And I shall send hornets before you, which shall drive out the Hivite and the Canaanite and the Hittite from before you. I shall not drive them out before you in 1 year, lest the land become a waste, and the beasts of the field become too numerous for you. Little by little I shall drive them out from before you, until you have increased, and you inherit the land. And I shall set your border from the Sea of Reeds to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the river. For I shall give the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with them, nor with their mighty ones. Let them not dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me when you serve their mighty ones, when it becomes a snare for you.
Amen. Amen. Okay. Sorry, just give me a second here. I got a little bit lost in switching computers. There we go. Can you guys hear me okay? Everybody hear me okay? Good. Just making a quick switch to my other machine. I'm logged in twice here, but just so that I can do this. Let me just change my text color and everything. All right. Good. Okay, so thank you, Kendall. Okay, up next, last reader is going to be George. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless George who's come up to honor Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, George, you're going to take us now into chapter 24 and read verses 1 through 18. This is our last reading.
Mic check. And Moshe, he said, come up to Yahweh, you and Aharon, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and you shall bow yourselves from a distance. But Moshe shall draw near to Yahweh by himself, and let them not draw near, nor let the people go up with him. And Moshe came and related to the people all the words of Yahweh, and all the right rulings. And all the people answered with one voice, and said, all the words which Yahweh has spoken we shall do. And Moshe wrote down all the words of Yahweh, and rose up early in the morning, and built a slaughter place at the foot of the mountain, and 12 standing columns for the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, and they offered ascending offerings, and slaughterings of peace offerings to Yahweh of bulls. And Moshe took half the blood and put it in basins, and half the blood he sprinkled on the slaughter place. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the hearing of the people. And they said, all that Yahweh has spoken we shall do and obey. And Moshe took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, see the blood of the covenant which Yahweh has made with you concerning all these words. And Moshe went up, also Aharon, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. And they saw the Elohim of Israel, and under his feet, like a paved work of sapphire stone, and like the heavens for brightness. Yet he did not stretch out his hand against the chiefs of the children of Israel. And they saw Elohim, and they ate and drank. And Yahweh said to Moshe, come up to me on the mountain, and be there, while I give you tablets of stone, and the Torah, and the command which I have written, to teach them. And Moshe arose with his assistant Yehoshua, and Moshe went up to the mountain of Elohim. And he said to the elders, wait here for us until we come back to you. And see, Aharon and Hur are with you. Whoever has matters, let him go to them. And Moshe went up into the mountain, and a cloud covered the mountain. And the esteem of Yahweh dwelt on Mount Sinai. And the cloud covered it for 6 days. And on the seventh day he called to Moshe out of the midst of the cloud. And the appearance of the esteem of Yahweh was like a consuming fire on the top of the mountain before the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moshe went into the midst of the cloud and went up into the mountain. And it came to be that Moshe was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights.
Amen. Amen. Okay, thank you, George. All right, let's go ahead and have a closing blessing. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Yahweh noten haTorah. Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh our Elohim, King of the universe, who has given us a Torah of truth and has planted eternal life in our midst. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah. Amen. Amen. All right. Great job, all readers. I really appreciate all of that. George, you still have your hand up. I don't know if you forgot. I do appreciate everybody doing a good job today with the reading. Okay, so now we're going to just do a couple of quick announcements before we get into the discussion part. Okay, so announcement number one is that for those of you that may not be aware, we do this every week. Same time, 8 o'clock Eastern time every week. Also, this, let's see, coming to next Tuesday. Okay, next Tuesday, we're going to be doing hopefully a special Tuesday night study live from Beth Shalom in Cleveland, Tennessee, as we also are going to be doing Rosh Chodesh for Adar 1. Okay, Rosh Chodesh for Adar 1. Because Adar 1 will be on Wednesday the 6th, so Tuesday night it starts. So we'll start off with a brief Rosh Chodesh service, and then we'll go into our Torah study. Okay, that will be at 8 o'clock as always. So we'll be starting it just as we always do. Okay, and that will be live streamed from Beth Shalom. Okay, actually, we're not streaming it. All of you need to get on planes or you can get in your cars and get here by next Tuesday. I'm just kidding. That's if you want to be at Bible study. It's going to be live and in person. You're going to have to get all the way here. Okay, so we what else have in the announcements? Let me think. The next general session, well, actually, I may reschedule that. The Passover paperwork, the Passover website page should be up very soon here. Not even sure. It may even be up now. Let me just see that. I'm not sure I could check from here. I guess I can. Let's see if it's up yet. It is. All right. So, Robert, if you could put the website link on the study, that would be great. Passover page is up and running. On your mark, get set, go. Israelites, start your engines. All right. So the Passover page is up. Robert will put a link here in the room. Okay. Please don't get too distracted with it till we finish the study. Okay. So, and since it's a long year, we not only have Purim in the 13th month, but Purim Katan in the 12th. There you go. Okay. There's the link to the Passover page. All right. So now, let me explain Passover a little bit. So we're going to be meeting for Passover at the same property as we did for Sukkot and for Passover last year, which is the YMCA Blue Ridge Assembly in Black Mountain, North Carolina. Almost all the rooms we have are hotel-style rooms. So if you were at the property in the past, we're going to be doing we'll have two buildings, one called Asheville Hall, the other one's called the BRC, the Blue Ridge Center. If you remember, Blue Ridge Center is where we eat our meals, and they have hotel-style rooms there, as well as we have hotel-style rooms in Asheville Center. I mean, Asheville, I don't know what, I just called Asheville, I guess. And then it's a building on property. We also have some of the rooms in Hibbard, which is the building that has the 2 sets of bunk beds. Okay, all the other rooms only have 2 beds. So if you need more beds, we may have to put you in one of those rooms over there. Okay, all the rooms have bathrooms. Okay, all the rooms have bathrooms. The pricing is going to be very similar to last for Sukkot. So I believe the pricing is very similar. It may have gone up just a tiny bit, but it's very similar. Okay, or I should say compared to last Passover. We are going to be planning to be there. The dates are April 19th to 28th. Okay, April 19th to 28th. And it starts Friday night, April the 19th, and it ends on Friday. It will end on Friday, which means that we're going to go right into Shabbat. It ends on Friday the 26th. So we're going to keep Shabbat on the 27th there and leave on the 28th, okay? So plan to be there from the 19th to the 28th. All right? Okay, so if you have any questions about that, you can ask them now. We'll have time to ask them as we get closer to it. Here's the most important thing. You cannot book your room locations. Just you can pick your, pay for your meal plan and pay for your package and everything. But as far as understanding their housing, you're going to have to call so we can schedule and book you in your housing, okay? Many have asked if travel is permitted on the 19th. Yes, the 19th is not a holy day. The holy day starts after sundown on the 19th as you go into the first day of unleavened bread. So you can travel on the 19th. Just be there before sundown. Okay, so Robert, put the phone number you want them to call so they'll get Stacia or they'll get me, the general number that you want them calling after registering. There it is. That's our new number, 423-250-3020. All right, 250-3020. Okay. And for those of you Gematria people, you had, let's see, 250, and then you got 30 and 20 is 50. So you got another 50 in there. I don't know. It's something in there. I'm just joking. Okay, now, so I'm very excited. We got that all booked. And we're also looking at a property potentially for Sukkot. I'm going to be looking at it on Monday. Okay, so we've got another property to look at on Monday, and we'll see if that could go well. It's a really nice property. And if they could fit us and work it all out for October, that would be great. And we'll see how that could work, okay? Okay, so. Fred, what do you want us to text you? The phone number or the link to what is it that you want texted? Both. Fred, write it down. Okay, you don't have to copy it. Just write it down. 423-250-3020. And if you just go to the MTOI page, you'll see a link to the Passover thing. Okay. No update on the property for purchase yet, although I do believe we've got we have a new accountant working for us now, and she has put together some really good documentation, and we should now, I think we should be able to afford this property if we can possibly get to buy it. So, my house is closing in 2 days. I will be closing on my house in 2 days on Thursday morning. So if you want to keep that in prayer, that'd be great. Also, we have a lot of people here under the weather or dealing with things. I'm actually feeling a little something myself. Just keep everybody in prayer. There's something going around here in the Chattanooga, Cleveland area, so that we can get all these things done that we need to get done. Okay? All right. So I think that covers it for the announcements. Yes, that is the that's the new office number, okay? 423-250-3020. Now, bear in mind that I don't know that, Robert, do we have it forwarding to anybody when we're not there? Okay, Bonnie says, congratulations. Olivia says, exciting news about the house. We hear it's quite cold over there here in Texas in the 50s. You know, it's about 20s today. It's getting really cold just for now. We have a lot of recordings to update. Okay. Let's see. Does MTOI have a Haggadah for those who cannot attend? It's on the website when you go to find your registration form. Okay. Right now, it is only during 9 to 4. Other numbers still after hours. Okay. So call the 423-825-4975 after hours. Call the other one from 9 to 4 till we get the phone system kind of worked out. Okay. A lot of recordings that have the old phone number. Don't worry. The old phone number we're going to keep for a while and just have it forward to the new phone number once we make more permanently the switch. So people that were calling the old phone number will still get us. We'll just pay some sort of a small fee to keep the two numbers. I don't think that's a big problem. We'll find out how that works. Okay. There was something else to say. Somebody typed in. Oh, Haggadahs. Okay, so the Haggadah that we use, we are actually looking to make a hard copy printed version, spiral bound with laminated pages so that if you get food on them or anything on them, you can wipe them off and use them. And we hope to have them in time for you to order them for Passover. Okay? We certainly will have them at our Passover for those who come. Now, the rest of you that want to just have something you can download, there's a PDF that's on the link page that Robert gave you for the registration form. There's also a PDF of the mikvah document, because if we do immerse people at Passover during unleavened bread. And also on that link there is a download for the Haggadah. Okay, and that's a Haggadah that I wrote, so it is copyrighted with MTOI and with me writing it, and so I put that together over many years here. All right. I think that covers it for the comments and questions on this. I'm sure we'll get a lot more as we get going, but we are very excited that, yes, we are finally having our Passover page up and running. Okay? Now, bear in mind, here's the big important thing. We only have 103 rooms. So you want to book quickly. I know a lot of you wait till the last minute. You procrastinate. You want to book quickly. Okay? So please make sure to do that if you are coming, because we only have 103 rooms. Now, there are a lot of Airbnbs and bed and breakfasts and camping and RVing in the area. If we sell out, there's other space nearby that you can, I'm sure, find accommodations. But it's only 103 rooms. Okay, and some families may need more than one room because there's like 6 or 7 or 8 of them, and these are hotel style rooms, only 2 beds. So, we may have to work this out. So it's a good problem to have, but hey, Raymond says, for those of us not able to join this year, will there be a way for the YM2I material to be made available? I will speak to the YM2I director, my wife, about that. Okay, Raymond, so yeah, my first thought is yes. We'll try to get that so that you can have access to the material. Okay. What you may need to do is let us know how many people will be participating in the various age groups, so we know in which class they are, and whether it's Katan A or B or Gadol A or B, and then we can give you access to appropriate material for the groups. How's that? Would that work? Okay, good. All right, so yeah, just give us a head count by group, and we can tell you what materials would be necessary, and we'll try to figure it all out. All right, now, that all being said, let's go into the discussion now portion of the study. Okay. Yeah, Raymond's group is hoping, the Wisconsin group is hoping to, Beth Menorah is hoping to be with us for Sukkot. And so we'll see how that can work out. By the way, also keep in prayer that we are still on a pace to have at least one family per month moving to the area in Cleveland, and that's presenting all kinds of good challenges and helping people find jobs and find housing, all this kind of thing. So now we have to clarify something. If you want to move to the area, we are not here to go ahead and find you housing and find you jobs. What we can do is to help you, guide you to some places that may have housing, and we can also maybe recommend places that might be hiring. Okay, but we don't have jobs for you or houses. Believe it or not, some people call here thinking that they're just going to come and we're going to hand them a house and a job. We do not have that. Okay? The Whites are coming in 4.5 weeks. Yay! Chris and Tiffany and family, we're very excited about you guys coming in a bunch of weeks here. And you're going to be our March family. Right? You're going to be coming just at the beginning of March. So that's cool. Okay, Janice, good night. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. And Raymond says, likewise to Amy, we will miss all our MTOI Mishpatim until a better opportunity. Hopefully, so there you go. All right. So, we are going to go forward now and discuss Torah portion Mishpatim, which was basically all of chapters 21, 22, 23, and 24. And so if you got a comment, if you have a comment or question, you can type it in or raise your hand, and we'll try to address them as best we can. Now, remember, the key here is we're looking for what can we get out of this that we can apply in our own lives or see ourselves in the account that we read, so that we can use it in our transformation process of becoming more like the Father and the Son. Okay? So this is very, very good. Very, very good. Now, let's see. Arthur says, a big lesson on this Torah portion is personal responsibility towards our neighbor. We are responsible for our actions and be prepared to pay for injury caused. Excellent. If this is something that happens in the body and outside the body. Things happen. Accidents happen. You may have a pet that damages somebody. You may have a child that damages something. You may damage something. Your car may damage something. Okay? Or you may have, who knows? Anything can happen when something can get broken or somebody can get hurt. And guess what? You have to own that responsibility. Okay, you have to own that responsibility. You take responsibility and you take the appropriate actions to deal with compensation if compensation is required. Okay, everybody understood that. Hopefully, good point. Arthur, appreciate that. Okay, let's see.
Okay, I like to, like you say, find something, and for me, it's the very first sentence in chapter 21. These are the right rulings. So if we take what we're instructed to do in the book, then we shouldn't have too much of a problem. And if we can't figure it out, then we should turn to leadership to help direct us in the way which we should go. So to me, that would bring life and much easier than trying to figure out what is right when we already it's spelled out for us. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that, Steve, very much. We always can learn. We can always learn a lot of things from watching the way people either did or didn't successfully navigate life under instruction, life under a structure, life under a leadership. And so here you have Yahweh through Moses giving instruction, and we're going to see and continue to see how the people respond to life under guidance. That's really a big, big problem. Okay? Let's see, David and Amy said, no prison system in Yahweh's economy. Program of restoration, when applicable and swift, removal of leaven, sin, etc. But look, it's important that we understand that the default in human beings, and you see this playing out in a lot of the countries of the world, is to go towards anarchy, socialistic, liberalistic, anything goes. Okay, that's what Sodom and Gomorrah is. That's the Sodom and Gomorrah where we're heading towards. All things are lawful. All things are okay. Don't judge me. Let me do whatever I want. We are under a master. We came out of Egypt, and in coming out of Egypt, we changed the master to whom we serve, but we are under a master. And so let's be careful. Let's be clear that the Father is watching to see how we respond to guidance and structure and leadership. All right, very, very important. And thank you for bringing that up. It's a really good point, Steve. Appreciate that. Okay, David Amos said entropy, as things basically devolve and disintegrate, from order into disorder. And so it's funny because when we look at the Genesis story, in Genesis we see that it started out in chaos and confusion, and the Ruach came, and through the Father put the Spirit over the land, and then he imposed order in the universe. He brought the chaos and confusion into order. And now it's degenerating back into chaos and confusion. And if you watch the news, you'll see that it's accelerating in its pace towards chaos and confusion. Tohu vabohu. Okay, so we should take very seriously that the Father's watching to see how we respond to his efforts to restore order individually and corporately as a body. In you individually, in us all individually, and corporately as a body. Very good point. Rabbi Tom, go ahead.
Thank you, Rabbi Steve. Just kind of an interesting observation that I made, or a note of interest. I'm sure most of us know that chapters and verses were not in the Torah. There's something arbitrary, something artificial, I think, coined by a Anglican bishop or something. But we go back to chapter 18. I think the general theme there is getting organized and putting things in proper order. And then in 19 and 20, we have our relationship, primarily our relationship with Almighty Yahweh. And then in 21 and 22 and 23, we go into relationship with our fellow man. And I just think that the progression in these chapters is.
Thank you very much for that observation. And look, one of the things that we like to encourage all of you to do, okay, is I want you to do two things. One is I want you to be able to zoom in on different details, but I also, like Rabbi Tom just said, I want you to be able to zoom out and see the broader flow. There's a broader flow that we can miss sometimes when we're too zoomed in. So zooming in on a point or an instruction is good. You need to zoom in sometimes and really focus on and understand something that Yahweh instructed. On the other hand, sometimes you need to zoom out to gather a better sense of the big picture and also a feel for how things are flowing and what the message is that's flowing through the theme that's flowing through the whole thing. So I really appreciate that, Rabbi Tom. Very good. Let me scroll back up. What else did we miss here that people were typing in? Nolan says, for what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it as Yahweh Elohim is to us whenever we call on him? And what great nation is it that has such laws and righteous right rulings? That all this Torah which I set before you this day. Awesome. So this is very important that we're walking with that attitude. Do you have that attitude? Do you have the attitude of what other people have, to appreciate the awesomeness that we are a people having these things? That we are a people that have Yahweh so close to us, Elohim is so near to us, and that he's given us such laws and righteous right rulings. Rather than look at them as Well, they're done away with and they're mean and they're awful and who needs them? You know. It's really, 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 really tough that way. You know, for people to ever get to the truth when the system is designed to keep you away from it by telling you it was no good and it was done away with. So very, very good point. Thank you, Nolan. All of us should embrace that thought process. Okay, let's see. Somebody else typed in. Okay, what is an awl? Is it a sign of being a bondservant? An awl is simply a sharp, pointy device that you put holes in things with. Okay, you can add a hole to your belt if you need another hole in your belt to go tighten your belt a little bit. You can use an awl to create a small hole to guide a screw into a piece of wood. Okay, so think of it as a piece of metal that's very sharp and pointy that you would use to pierce an ear. Okay, that's what an awl is. All right. Earl says like a pointed nail with a handle, one which is used to make holes in leather. Exactly like that. Exactly. Greg and Mary, it's all fun and games till someone gets hurt. Then we use the principles in Torah. Well, the problem is we got to take it more seriously than it's all fun and games. And then hopefully less people will get hurt, including ourselves. All right. Let's see. Sam Davidson, when the Torah talks about a servant slave, is it basically talking about a hired hand? What does a biblical servant look like? And how does that apply to us today? Okay, I would recommend you listen to the teaching series I did called Well Done, Good and Trustworthy Servant. It's 3 parts. Each part deals with a piece of that verse. Good, trustworthy, and servant. So part 3 will deal with the idea of what a servant is. Excuse me. And so it's not just a hired hand. It's a little bit more than a hired hand. The idea of a servant. A hired hand can say no. A hired hand can refuse to do things. A hired hand could just get up and leave the job. Okay, these were slaves of more of a sense than a hired hand. Okay, it was an obligation and commitment to that owner or that person for a period of time. Look, think of it like us. Are we not slaves to whom we serve? Are we not slaves to whom we serve? Okay, so as a servant, actually, you know what? We could talk about this actually really well here. In the kingdom of Yah, are you a hired hand? Are you a hireling? Or are you a servant? You know, we see a lot of hirelings that are calling themselves teachers, and they're not acting like servants. They're acting like hirelings. You know, they're just in it for the money and to do whatever they need to do. Hirelings run, they don't stay. Okay, like indentured servants. That's what we're talking about. Rabbi Tom pointed out. Okay, but we are servants to Yah. The people in this description in chapters 21, etc., are talking about those that are servants without as a servant they have no authority. Think of it that way. Does a slave or a servant have authority in the eyes of his master? No. So if you're a slave to Yah, why do you keep trying to grab a hold of the reins and have authority? Why do you keep trying to grab those reins? Okay, we're servants. We have no say. We have no authority. Look at Exodus 19. We were just there last week. I wasn't in the teaching last week, but last week you covered Exodus 19. He says, you can covenant with me by doing this, agreeing to be obedient and submissive to everything I say. That's a slave. That's a servant. We did not agree to have a say in this. We did not agree to have a voice in it. We agreed that we would just do everything he said. Everything. Now we get something wonderful in exchange. Actually, everything we could possibly want, we can get in exchange. He offers us everything. Eternal life. What could be more than that? In the military, you don't get to say no. You are theirs until the contract is completed. Exactly. All right. All right. Let's see. But we serve. Okay. You know what? It's funny. I was having an interesting discussion with a young man. Okay. Teenager who was thinking from a teenager idealistic point of view about how, if we did this, and this in a benevolent way, wouldn't that be better than having all these, like the way our government works and having the government impose itself? And the answer is, it would be wonderful if that were true. The problem is we're dealing with people. And people are selfish. People are uncaring. People are harsh. People are greedy. See, that's why government must impose itself in how people treat people. But then you can't trust government because guess what? People in government are greedy and selfish and prideful and uncaring and harsh and all those other things. So what's the only real solution, I said to the teenager? There's only one solution. Benevolent dictatorship. And the only way you're going to get that is through who? Who's the only true one who can be a benevolent dictator? Yeah, Yeshua. That's why we have a king coming. Now, you can see in Scripture how much the people thrived and prospered under a good king. You can see how much they suffered under a bad king. A prideful, selfish, self-possessed, greedy for gain king. So when you see the socialists and the communists and the anarchists and all these other people thinking that there's a better, ideal sort of way of doing things, now hear me out. They're not all wrong in the theory. What they're wrong about is that people are going to apply it. And with people applying it, it will never work. Can we understand that? Lots of people have these ideal ideas of how societies could function, and some of them sound really appealing. But the problem is they will all fail because they will be dependent upon people. People to create these ideal societies or these ideal structures of government, because this is why, okay, the people revolted against the Tsar. The people revolted against the king in France. The people revolted here against the king. The people revolt, and what do you get? You get people in government. Look at all the socialist experiments, the communist experiments. You ended up with a dictator anyway. Whether it was someone in Russia, like Lenin or Stalin, or someone in France, Robespierre, and the rest. I mean, these guys, they took over. And then once they were in power, the human aspect kicked in and wrecked the whole deal. So let's be careful and understand that the only structure that can really work is one with a benevolent dictator, Yeshua HaMashiach, coming in glory and honor and power to rule and reign. That's the only way it works. Okay? Because when we bring the human factor in, wreck and ruin everything that we put our hands to. Because it's not even in our head to know how to put our feet. And the way that seems right to a man leads to death. We think we're so smart, but we're not. See, Yahweh shows us that the genius, the brilliance of man is like, says foolishness to him. So we need to be careful and understand. And so that's why he gives us all of this Torah. Well, blah, blah, blah about the Torah. Well, not blah, blah, blah about the Torah. Look at what was posted by Nolan. Who is it that has such wonderful right rulings? Raymond says the world's socialism always begins with theft by those who mostly have enough, from those who have more and mostly worked hard for it. Okay? Okay, let me scroll back up. I missed a whole bunch of things. Let's see. Okay. Rabbi, okay. Let me just finish this point that I was kind of making. This, I don't know why I feel like talking politics a little bit, but I do. Okay. Now, don't respond until you think through what I'm saying. Okay. Should any country, if people were behaving correctly, okay, should any country need a wall? Should any country need a boundary? Should any country need any kind? Of course not. Why? Because people would not be coming to hurt you or steal from you or rob or take advantage. Why do we need a wall? Why do we need boundaries? Why do we need laws? Because we're dealing with human beings. And human beings cannot be trusted as far as you can throw them. That's right, because of the 10th commandment. They're all coveting. They all want. Okay? So I would agree with the liberals that we don't need a wall, of course, except for the fact that we're using it to keep people separated. And for people, we need a wall. Do you know that there were actually walls around the tabernacle? There were curtains and boundaries inside of the tabernacle. Why? Because you needed something to keep people out of where they weren't ready or prepared to be or where they should be. You know what? When we're all changed into incorruptible from corruptible, there won't be a need. There won't be any need. Yah himself will be dwelling among us. The Father and the Son together will be dwelling among us. No need to restrict access. We'll have access to the tree of life, it says in Revelation. But why was there a wall around Jerusalem? Because we're dealing with people. For people, you need boundaries. We also need laws, which are essentially our boundaries. That's the 10 Commandments, and the rest of the Torah are the laws to teach us boundaries. To teach us to respect and understand appropriate boundaries. Okay, let me ask you a question, just so you understand this, okay? Yet the description of the kingdom includes gates. Gates hang on walls, the Messiah is the door, etc. Yes, the gates of the kingdom, okay, it's talking, well, never mind. There's a lot more instruction, Leanne, that I can get into now about the picture that's being painted in the book of Revelation. All right? Because also there's parts of the book of Revelation which talks about those outside those walls. So there are timing issues, there are things like that. But understand that inside what's being described as the kingdom, in the inside, everybody has access to everything because we're all changed. So hopefully that can sort of make sense, okay? Some of the stuff I couldn't explain in the time allowed. Well, I'm trying to get to another point though, okay? And see if I can get there because I got distracted by chasing that squirrel and I don't remember where I was going. Hold on. All right, that thought was gone. We'll just move on. Oh well, I'm not blaming Leanne for that. I took the question and I lost my thought. It's no big deal. Okay, but let's understand that as we're going through and we're looking at the laws and the boundaries, we're being prepared to submit to an authority. We're being prepared for that. Okay, and we need to be prepared. Otherwise, it's going to be a very harsh, shocking change to go from this crazy anything goes society into one that's under authority. Very, 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 very different. Okay? All right? And by the way, Leanne, your question your question was good. I just don't have time to get into it. Okay? But my point would be more that once we're inside the kingdom, those inside the kingdom will have will not have the restrictions that we're used to seeing now, because those inside will all be of the same mind and of the same purpose, and will be all submitted under the same authority. And that's really the key point. Okay, that's really the key point. All right. Let me scroll back up. Man, there was something else that I wanted to say and I can't remember it. Hopefully it'll come back around. All right, let's see. Okay, Raymond said, the world tends towards chaos. Also, the system likes to legislate everything except what most ought to be governed. That's true. Rabbi, the commandment of chapter 22 is only geared towards boys. What would that entail? 22:29. Do not delay in giving your harvest and your vintage. Give me the firstborn of your sons. Okay, so this is a verse that's going to. This verse is why we need Pidyon HaBen, the redeeming of the firstborn. Does everybody understand that? It's hard for me to scroll back and forth. Actually, I can do it on one screen. I'm at the bottom. Okay, does everybody understand? This is why we need Pidyon HaBen. Pidyon HaBen is the redeeming of the firstborn, because Yahweh tells us here in Exodus, all the firstborn are mine. Do not delay in giving your harvest, your vintage, and give me the firstborn of your sons. But then we're going to have a problem. And with that problem, the Levites come in. And with the Levites coming in, okay, the Levites are now replacing the firstborn as now being taking the role of the firstborns. And there's an exchange of silver for the redeeming of the firstborn. So hopefully that makes sense for everyone. So good question, Olivier, about chapter 22:29. All right, this is why we do the redeeming of the firstborn. And by the way, you shouldn't delay in that. If you ever, now, theoretically, arguably, that was for then with Israel when there was a switch from the Levites from the firstborn. However, there are those today that still practice this. We do that as well. That's why we have those coins. We didn't originally have those coins just to scratch our beards. Okay? The coins were there to actually be part of the redeeming of the firstborn ceremony. All right? Firstborn daughters as well. When it comes down to it, Yahweh says that all the firstborns are mine, and there are hints that it's the sons, but there's also hints that it's the one that opens the womb. So I've had people that have only done their firstborn son. I've had people that have done their firstborn daughter. And I've had people that have done both. If the daughter was born first, they did the daughter. And then if the son was done, the first son was later, they redeemed the son. Okay, so in a very Jewish sort of way of saying it, whichever way you do it, the more you do, the more couldn't wait, as they would say, couldn't wait. I'm not going to say it's a Torah command that you need to do today, but it couldn't wait. Okay? I've had a lot of people say they've gotten a lot of blessing from doing it. Okay? In various forms. Okay, so there was a comment from Rabbi Tom. I didn't see what was going on in the upper screens. We should refrain from answering questions if not in leadership. So this is an open discussion to some degree, okay? But let's be careful in responding to questions unless you know I'm already talking about it. Because what if you're answering a question and I never get to it? Then you're stepping into a leadership teaching role, and that needs to be done very cautiously. So Rabbi Tom, who is in leadership, is asking you to refrain, and I agree with him from answering questions if you're not in leadership. Okay, asking questions is open to everyone. Answering questions we're discussing or giving a thought is also open to everyone. Just be careful in answering questions for people that leadership is not yet addressing. Okay? Now, let me continue here back here. Let's see. Sue Smith is going to sleep. Not feeling it. I'm way scrolled back here, so I'm trying to catch up on the other screen. Stephen Gwen, chapter 23:15. Do not appear empty-handed. How many times people don't take this serious, or even the need to the basic tithe as well? How this is not taken to heart as much as we should. Okay? So an encouragement that when we're talking about the feasts again in Deuteronomy 16:16 is where it's talking about here in Exodus 23 as well. It talks about the feast and the 3 times a year and not to appear empty-handed in verses 14 and 15. Okay, 3 times a year you are to observe a festival to me and not appear empty-handed into verse 15. All right. Look, I'm not going to sit here and kick you in the teeth about tithing. I've done that enough. The main point is that you're taking your own finances in your own hands and taking him out of the loop, and I think that's just very unwise. And we talked about this a lot in the covenant teaching lately, the idea of wisdom, understanding, knowledge. It is pure foolishness not to tithe. I don't know what else to tell you. It's just foolishness. You're cutting your own financial throat in a way that you just really, it's not worth the money you think you're saving by not doing it. Okay? That's up to you. Okay, I don't need your money. If Abba wants to pay me, he'll pay me somehow. This is all about you, not about me. All right? But you want it, Greg says, I'd rather have my finances in Abba's hands. Well, then you need to tithe. And I know Greg and Mary do. I'm just saying, so why would you, want to put it in your own hands? That is too risky. It's foolishness. All right, let's see. I'm scrolling down on the other screen. Okay. Okay, Mark says, it's important to see Yahweh's insistence of absolute loyalty to him, about servanthood and bookends of no other gods in Exodus 20:23 and 23:32 and 33, about no covenants with Canaanites, lest you get snared. Shalom. That's good. Good point. All right. Okay, people are self-centered. I'm just scrolling down on the other screen here. Okay, I'm getting closer to the bottom. I can actually read it on both screens now. Okay, so. Okay, Olivia says, Rabbi, another question for later. Chapter 23:12, we are commanded to work 6 days, and I suppose the commandment goes to the husband. But if the wife also works on the side, is it okay to work part-time? If my husband does not work days, is he breaking commands? Please clarify. Okay, so 23:12, 6 days you are to do your work, and on the 7th you rest. Okay, so I would say that this is not an instruction that says you have to work all 6 days. Now, for those of you that are struggling with your finances, you are being told you have 6 days to work. Yahweh didn't plan for you to have a weekend. What Yahweh planned for you to have a Shabbat. Shabbat is 1 day. So within those 6 days, you do all your work. However, some of you need that 6th day. Some of you need to work 2 jobs. Some of you need to get your financial lives in order and put in a little bit more effort, I guess, or whatever. Okay? I'm not trying to judge you. I'm not trying to pick on you. If you need help in understanding all of this, you can call leadership. We can give you some guidance. Okay? But 6 days to work. So no, you're not breaking commandment if you're not working 6 days. And as to the wife, she can work as much or as little as she would desire. The instruction is for the commandment is for the husband. Okay? Now, of course, if you're a single mom, the instruction's for you. You have to provide for your needs. So you have 6 days to provide all your needs. And if it takes 2, then it takes 2. All right. Okay, there's more stuff about crew. Okay, walls and things. I'm just scrolling down to see what I missed here. Okay, so John and Robin, 24:12 sounds as if the tablets, Torah, and commandments, all written by Yah, are all 3 separate things. Can you explain? 24:12. Hold on. Turn my page here. 24:12. Come up to me on the mountain where I give you the tablets of stone and the Torah and the command which I've written to teach them. You have other verses which talk about how the stones were written on both sides. I am confident that not only was all the Torah instruction on them, but also the blueprints for the tabernacle were probably on them. It's not like we picture in the movies there were just the 10 words on the stones and that's it. Because you have other verses we're talking about they were written on both sides. And that all of it was written down. So we're all guessing though, John and Robin don't really know what to put with that. It sounds from most of the scripture like everything was written on the tablets. Okay? So I wouldn't have them as being three separate things, but they could have been three separate things on the tablets. Okay, let's see. Okay, Dear just said, what does buying a server mean? I doubt it's literal, so is it like a business arrangement? No, it's pretty literal and somewhat like a business arrangement, but it's literal. You're buying a servant. They're not getting paid. You're buying them. They have to work for you. What they're getting paid for is you're buying them often to pay off a debt they had or to do something of that nature. But you are buying a servant. And it's not necessarily more like a marriage. 21, 7 through 11 has to do with the servant that decides let's see, let's go to that. When a man sells his daughter to be a female servant, she does not go as the males do if she is displeasing. So now we're dealing with the woman that's different. Okay? The woman thing is different than the men. All right. Tom and Carmen, 23, 20, 21, is it referring to Yeshua? 23, 20, 21. See, I'm sending a messenger before you to guard you in the way you should go, to be prepared in one place, which I prepared. Be on guard before him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he is not going to pardon you. Yeshua, the Ruach, which represents Yeshua and the Father. Okay, so yes. But also, listen now. It says you diligently obey his voice. His voice. Well, whose voice is that? Yahweh through who? Human beings. So it's Moses, then it's Joshua, and we go forward. Okay? This is not going back to this Christianized idea of that we're just listening for some spiritualized voice. Let's be careful with that, please. Okay? Okay, Harold and Betty Olson, chapter 24, verse 7. What is the book of the covenant mentioned there? Okay, so we're talking about the Torah is a covenantal document. So it's often referred to as the law. It's often referred to as the covenant. It's just another way of referring to it. Do not get caught up in the Matthew Nolan, Dr. Dave Perry, Melchizedekian, Book of the Law versus Book of the Covenant. They're the same thing. Book of the Law, Book of the Covenant. Okay? If anything, you could refer to it as the Book of the Law was the copy inside the ark. The Book of the Covenant was the copy outside the ark that they got to look at. Okay? Now somebody's going to go find a verse that says it the other way around. I don't know. They needed a copy because people say, well, the Adventists will say, well, the stuff that we don't really need to do was the stuff that was outside the ark. No, all of it was written in the book outside the ark because you weren't allowed to open the ark. So when the priest needed to refer to the reference guide, the book of the law, the book of the covenant, it was sitting outside the ark where they could get access to it. Very, 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 very important that we have that. Okay. All right. Thank you, Rabbi. Chapter 23:16. What is the specific commandment of Festival of Harvest other than to congregate locally? Does chapter 23:17 mean we are to travel over there as you do for Pesach and Sukkot? Okay, so 23:16. Festival of the Harvest is Pentecost, Shavuot. Okay? Unleavened bread, Shavuot, and Sukkot. The Festival of Ingathering is Sukkot. The Festival of the Harvest is Shavuot. Okay? And yes, you're supposed to keep those the same as you keep Passover and unleavened bread and Sukkot. So really, you should all be traveling here for that as well. Perhaps someday we'll be able to do that as well. Financially, it's almost impossible for most people. Okay? All right, look, it's almost, I know there's more and more questions that would be popping up. I'm starting to really feel it in my throat, and my nose is running a bit and everything else. So I'm going to try to run it off from here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and ask someone to come up and lead us in a closing prayer. All right, because like I said, I'm sorry if I missed anybody's question.
Father in heaven, we just come before you at the close of this study. We just want to thank you very much that we could come together and learn your Torah. Just want to lift up Rabbi Steve, Father, to give him the healing that he needs and the strength that he needs to carry on, Father. We know he's been suffering, but he's been serving us and serving you, Father. And we just thank you for him. And we just want to bless you for all the things that you provide for us, all good things that you provide. Just ask you to be with us throughout the week until we return on Sabbath. We just give you thanks and bless you in your Son's name, Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, all of you, for coming and participating. I enjoyed that very much. I think that it was a very good study. I mean, certainly we could have done this for another 2 hours and still not even gleaned all of what was in it, of course. But I do apologize. Burning the candle at both ends and in the middle has its consequences. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's see if I can do this from here. Slightly different angle. We're going to get a little video thing going here. See if I can get that to work. A wave to everyone. Well, it does look like it's working a little bit. Hey! There we are. Okay, a little scratch. Blessings, shalom. Appreciate you guys so much. Love to all of you. Hope to see all of you at some point coming to visit. That would be really cool. If you could come and visit here. I'll turn the camera off. There we go. Okay, I appreciate that very much. Okay, once I close, Dave and Laura, you can give me a call. I'll let you know. Once the room officially closes, you can go ahead and give me a call. And let's see, Sam. Okay, Sam, there's not a good time to call. Just call. Okay? So, Sam Davidson, I got your private message. Just try. During the week, just bear in mind, usually after 11 a.m. is for morning time is better for me. Okay, anytime after 11 a.m., just take a shot. All right, so hopefully, Sam, you got that message. All right, so Shavua Tov, have a good week. Lila Tov, have a good night. Fred says, can I call? Yes, Fred, you could call. You want to give me, maybe an hour and then give me a call, Fred, that'd be fine. I'm trying to think of how you can give me a call. You don't have my number either, do you, Fred? Yes, you do. Actually, I know you have my number. Yeah, Fred, you can call me. Just give me an hour. Okay, and then that should work out. Okay, here comes the countdown. When it gets down to 0, we close the room. Tom and Maria, get me 3 job interviews, 4 house listings, and put me together a resume too. You've got it, buddy. No problem. I'll get David Hayes right on top of it. He's our director of relocations, relocation director, whatever. Let me see if I can get back onto the main account here with my mouse, so hopefully working a little bit. So I can actually shut this down from over there. Hoping this will work. I had it charging for a little bit. Hopefully that gave it enough of a charge. It's just not working. I may just need a new mouse. Doesn't seem to want to work. Oh, my mouse is not working. Robert, I guess can I shut the room down from? I guess from the host position, I could do that even though I'm not the written one who signed in, right? I think so. Thank all of you for your kind words and well wishes. Say again. Can I close the room from up here in the host position and lock it down, or do I need to do it from my account that I opened it with? My mouse is not working. I can't do it from there. I can close it from here if I'm in the host position? Okay. No, I can do it. I just have to do it from this account on my other computer. That's all. All right. So then we got that worked out. That should be good to do. And all right. Well, that'll run it. We're good. Blessings to everyone. Thank you, Raymond, for wishing well wishes on the closing of the house, etc.